Welcome back to Warren's World. Today, we're keeping it real. One person, too many thoughts, and a microphone that listens better than anyone else. I'm your host, Warren. It has been literally a day since my last recording, but this will be uploaded in a few days. I'm going to schedule it. At the time of this recording, it is one day before Thanksgiving. So, I guess we'll talk about that a little bit. Get together with your family, get together with your friends, give thanks, eat some good food. We've got a lot to talk about. A lot has changed in the last 24 hours. Not for bad or for good, just things have changed. But we'll get into that in a minute. I just want to say thank you guys for your support on my first episode. I was really happy with that first episode. Babsy is doing some funny stuff over there. But, yeah, I like the way that it went. I think that we have a pretty good setup going on. It's kind of weird talking to a microphone by yourself. But I think I'm going to get the flow of it here pretty soon. If not, I already have. But it's just going to get better and better, you know? Eventually, I do hope to have some guests on. Maybe not in person. It might be more of a online thing. Like people can call in or might like Zoom call and show their screen, show their face. But for now, it's just me, just your boy. But yeah, let's dive right into it. I think I said in the description or in the comments to leave any suggestions. Leave any suggestions for what you guys wanted to talk about, what you want me to hear talk about. We had one viewer leave some suggestions. They said some crazy sociological concepts and also some basketball stuff. So I think we're going to start with that. I do know this person personally. I think most of my viewers know me personally as we are still growing. But first, I think I'm going to talk about some sociological stuff. A conversation that I've had before, and let's just get it right into it. Nudity. Oh my goodness. Nakedness. Scary. Nudity is a concept that I think has changed over the last 100, 200 years, obviously. But I think nudity is something that we don't really need to be afraid of. Specifically, I want to talk about the difference between how it's viewed between men and women. I just think it's super interesting through like a sociological lens. I was talking to somebody and we were basically getting down to the nitty gritty of like, and maybe this is just me, but I think nudity and nakedness is viewed in like a weird way from a lot of male perspectives in comparison to female perspectives. I don't know. Like me personally, as a male myself, like I rarely, like nudity for me is a very private thing. And I know people watching out there, like you think about maybe like the YMCA or like other gyms or, you know, the locker room. You walk in and you see people and they're naked. And I mean, like that's, I guess, normal, yeah. But from my perspective personally, I think that it's also just very rare. Like I never see a naked person. Obviously, like there's those intimate moments where you might see your partner or significant other, but in terms of like day to day, like seeing other people naked is like a flashbang. You're like, oh my goodness, what is that? And I think I just want to explore like why that's so jarring. I know from what I've heard and who I've talked to that from a female's perspective, nudity is something that early on is kind of influenced and seen as like a very normal thing. I think a lot of women are very open with each other, like friends and family, about, just being open about that. Um, and I just find that super interesting. I don't know. It's not like I'm against it at all. But it's just I think it's different from gender to gender. I think it's super interesting that women are so comfortable with one another, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, but changing right in front of each other and acting like nothing's happening, and that's awesome. Um, but for me, it's like I do not want anybody to see me changing. Like I will go into the bathroom and make sure that the door is locked. But I think for a lot of people, it can be a very open thing where it's like I don't care if my friend sees me naked. Um, I don't know. I once again I want to go back to like that YMCA or like just gym locker room stuff. Like even even though you're kind of expecting it, as a guy, I walk in there and I'm like, whoa. And maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me. I didn't really grow up going in like spending a lot of time in that environment. Um, I remember this is a good starting point. Um, it was like my sophomore year of high school. Excuse me, I'm still a little under the weather. It was like my sophomore year of high school, and for some reason, oh, I know why the reason was. I'm from Nashville, and sophomore year was like 2021, 2020, yeah, 2021. And being from Nashville, the Titans were on a roll. Um, Derrick Henry was our starting running back. We had Ryan Tannehill, AJ Brown. We had some good players, and I was really into that team. Like I really loved that season of football. And I remember being like, all right, I'm gonna try and join the high school football team. I had some friends that were on the high school football team. If you're watching, you know who I'm talking about. But I remember wanting to join and being like, I could have some fun doing this. And specifically, though, I remember my friends talking about, the early morning practices and the showers. And that was like scary for me. I was like, oh my gosh, it's 6 a.m. All the dudes are showering together naked. I don't know. Like, that is jarring for me and something that I'm not really like, I don't want to take part in that. Um, the more that I think about this, the more I do think it probably is a personal thing. And I don't think it springs or like, I don't think that, sorry, Babsy's going crazy. I don't think that this comes from like anything in my childhood at all. I think just me personally, I think it's a very private thing. Um, but yeah, I think nakedness is just so weird. And I mean, thinking back like hundreds and hundreds of years, it was so common, like, or at least I think, like, when I think about history in like 200, 300 years ago, I think being naked was like a very common thing. I know like the ancient Romans, or not even the Romans, just like European civilizations, they had like those group baths. Obviously, that was such a different time, but like that speaks to that the evolution of nudity is like it used to be so common and so open and normal, and over time, I think it has just become like a very secretive thing. Um, and from my perspective, I think that men in particular are a little bit more secretive about it. I don't want to be seen naked, not by a random person on the street. Like I would not go into a bathhouse and just sit next to another dude naked and be like, "Yo." Um, maybe I'm wrong. Leave a comment down below. Would you get naked with some random dude at a bathhouse? That's kind of weird, but yeah, I just think it's super interesting. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit more at some point, but that's just a little sociological concept that I wanted to talk about. Um, but moving forward, another comment that I got was about basketball. big shift in topics. Um, I'm a huge basketball fan. Mm, I would show you my my apartment setup, but I don't really feel like moving the camera right now. Maybe I'll add some stuff to the backdrop. But huge basketball fan. Um, kind of a newer, I would say, obsession for me. Like within the last 3 or 4 years. Um, I think it was. I don't remember when I got into it. I just remember probably my junior year of high school. I downloaded um, NBA 2K23. So yeah, that was like 3 or 4 years ago. And I would just sit in my room most nights playing my player, um, Diggs Henderson. That was my player. But I just loved the game. I loved like just the. I mean, it's kind of hard. Why do I like it so much? I think it's just like the kind of the basketball culture that I really like. Just like that flashy aesthetic, the street ball, and like um, all the music that I listened to growing up. A lot of rap music references it. I just think basketball is such like an important cultural thing in America, and for so long I didn't really understand it. I guess I grew up playing. I was on a bunch of YMCA teams and stuff. Um, and I mean, I was not good. I was definitely a chunkier kid growing up. Also, a little bit taller. I was just a big kid. Um, so like on those YMCA teams, I was always limited to playing like the center position, like being the rebounder, the passer, the kid who never really got to shoot a lot. And so I think that kind of skewed my view for a while of like basketball, meh. But after I stopped playing, I just, I mean, one thing that I really love is like the dunks. I love dunks. Just the flashy plays, like the no look passes. Um, you know, Steph Curry pulling up from half court, so awesome. Um, but yeah, 2K23 kind of got me into, just the game itself. And so I started watching. I remember specifically this one game that really like and is ingrained in my mind was I think it was 2022 or 2023. I think it was 23. Um, the Lakers were playing the Celtics. LeBron versus Jason Tatum. Um, and this is since has gone pretty viral. It came down to like the last minute of the game. Really close, really tight game. And LeBron goes up for a layup. And I don't remember who it was that was defending him, but they like fouled him hard on the wrist. And it was like to tie up the game or maybe even to win within the last 10 seconds. And he got fouled, but they did not call it. Um, and I just remember being like so into that game and being like, this is awesome. I love, because like I had never really watched sports live. I had definitely watched like tons of recap videos, highlight reels, all that kind of stuff. But I remember watching that game and just being like, this is so fun because I was so into it. I was like, what? Like I was at a friend's house in his basement. And we were all into it. It was so funny because he got fouled and maybe it was, I don't know if it was Drew Holiday, maybe. It was a player on the Lakers went and grabbed a photographer's camera from the sidelines because they had captured the foul. Like they had gotten a close up of it, even though the refs didn't call it a foul. And they came up to they came up to the refs and showed him, and was like, "That's a foul." Was like showing him the video of it, and he got a technical foul. And I was just like, "Dang! Like this is very raunchy. This is very intense. The players are really into it." And I think that that aspect of the game has definitely changed over the years of like players being really um they complain a lot. But anyways, really into basketball. I do like the Lakers. I am a big LeBron fan. Grew up watching him. I'm 21 years old, born in 2004. He has literally been in the league since I was born, and he still is. Um, Just watched him last night. Great game. 23rd season. He hasn't been doing amazing. He was injured for the majority of this first season, or not first season, of these first few weeks or month with the sciatica. He had a sciatica. But, he made his return. I think this was his third or fourth game back. And he has been able to score, over 10 points in each game, which is, one of the records that he holds is like something like 1,000 consecutive games with over 10 points. And so I always want to see him make that mark. But last night, I think he had like 25 points. Great game. But one player that I definitely want to talk about is Luka Doncic. Oh my goodness. Last night, I think he had 40 something points, maybe 40 or 43. But in this season, I remember the first opening games, the first 3 or 4, he dropped back to back to back 40-point games. And just watching that live is like, oh my goodness. Like, whenever he shoots, I'm like, that's going in. And when he misses, of course, he misses. But his efficiency is just crazy. His IQ off the charts. I think that you can't really talk about basketball right now without talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're on a bit of a roll right now. I'm not a big fan of them. I mean, I think I'm definitely biased in my viewpoints. I've seen a lot of social media clips and comment sections talking about, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the foul baiter, free throw merchant. But that does not take away from how good he is. He's a great player. MVP last season, Finals MVP, champion. Definitely a contender to be a back-to-back champion. I think they have what it takes to go this year, but I don't know. Just not a big fan of. I don't like watching a game and it being, every 5 minutes he's going to the free throw line. It's just whatever. But yeah, basketball. I've been playing some intramural basketball. That was Babsy. She's coming up here. Oh, she's going crazy. Been playing some intramural basketball for my college. That's just like a recreational type of thing with my friends, and that's really fun. You think you got what it takes until you get out there and you're like, dang, I am not as good as I thought I was going to be. I had probably 10 points every game, probably averaged about 10 points. But, like, it is a lot on your body running up and down that court. I think I have this image in my mind of, like, what player I would want to be. When I get out there, I'm, like, a totally different type of player. One of my friends that I play with, you know who I'm talking about if you're watching. We play pickup basketball a lot, but then we were also on the intramural team together. In pickup, I'm like a whole different player. I just loosey-goosey, don't really care. And that's not a bad thing. It's like it leads to me being better. I'm going to jiggle my mouse to get the computer to wake up. Yeah, on the rec court, I'm like loosey-goosey. I don't really care what happens. And I think that leads to me like playing better. There's not as much a high stakes, but when intramural season came around, I was like very tight about what I played. Just not as good, to be honest. But yeah, I freaking love basketball. It's also just like an outlet for exercise. It's great cardio, something to take your mind off of things, somewhere where you can go for hours at a time and just be like, this is where I'm at. You don't really got to think about anything else. And I think those type of things in your life is really important, and that's actually a perfect segue into my next topic. I'll just go ahead and skip to this, the work-life balance. I've talked about this, I think, in my last episode. Like, I do have a job. We'll get to that in a second. But, making time for fun things is so important, and that's something that I think I've realized over the last like couple of years. Like being in high school and being in like middle and high school, it's pretty easy to have a work life balance. You know, you go to school, it's pretty easy. Although I would say like in the moment things would get tough, but looking back on it, like it was pretty easy. And it was also really easy to have like a life outside of school. You know, 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. rolls around. You've got the rest of the day to do whatever you want. Um, Me personally, I mean, I loved as soon as I got off out of school, I would go to the gym, do my thing, maybe come home, do some homework. By that time, it's only like 5 or 6 p.m. You got the rest of the night to do whatever, you know, hang out with friends, play video games, do your thing. But, you know, as you get older, like that work life balance is so hard to meet. Um, as a college student right now, I've been working like this entire semester along with going to school, it's just been really hard to like make time for myself to do those things that I really want to do. And don't get me wrong, I definitely do things that bring me joy. I still find time for the gym. I still do that, but it's definitely more fast paced. Like those gaps in my day are shorter. And not saying like they're shorter than I'd like them to be. It's more just like that's how life is right now. You go to school, you might have an hour or two to like kill, do something fun for yourself. Go to work, you get home, and you like do some homework, and then you're done for the day pretty much. Um, but that work life balance is something that you gotta keep in your mind. And if you feel yourself getting overwhelmed, I think that one of the most important things you can do is listening to your body and being like, all right, I'm going to school or I'm doing this and I'm also going to work, or maybe you're just going to work and it's taking up a big portion of your day. You get home, you do your chores, you do whatever you need to do, and then there's not a lot of time for you to relax or do what brings you joy. And maybe your work does bring you joy, but I think that also like having hobbies outside of work and having things to do other than work is really important. And so I think the more that you can kind of channel that part of you that's like, all right, I'm going to set aside an hour a day to do this one thing is really important. And for me right now, like doing this podcast has been like a huge step forward where, you know, there's an hour or two a day that I can set aside and be like, I'm just going to talk, kind of talk about what's on my mind. And I know that for a lot of people that's unrealistic or they might not have the time to do that. But I question, do you? Do you really not have the time to do that? I think that there's like this thing in a lot of people's mind where they're so set in their routine where they're like, I have to do this and then this and then this. When in reality it's like you could realistically carve out an hour or two a day to do whatever it is that you think would bring you joy. And a lot of people, I have talked to people and I've been like, you know, do you have hobbies? Do you have something fun to do? And they're like, not really. And I'm like, well, is there something that you want to do? Um, and there's, I think that if you're a person and there's not something that you want to do, I'm like, hey, I'm like, there's no way. You've got to have something that you're dying to do. Like maybe you want to learn how to cook better, or you want to learn how to, you know, be a better artist or whittling. I don't know, like something silly. I think those like mental stimulating tasks really can bring you a lot of joy. And that goes back to the whole work life balance thing. Like, if you only work and you don't have that life outside of it, you're going to get burned out. You're going to be like, really, you're going to be spread thin. And like, that is the worst feeling. And I think that, once again, is going to lead into my next topic. Um, like I said, this semester I have been working and I have been going to school. I'm a psychology student. And I'm not trying to pity myself at all. I don't like to do that. But I will say, like, I have been very busy. I have been very into my studies. Um, this semester has been probably the hardest semester of all college that I've had. Doing a lot of research, um, and I am doing experiments. Literally, like I designed an experiment with a team. My team, shout out my team, love you guys. Um, but like I have had a lot of my time taken up at school, and then I do have days off from work, but you know, 3 or 4 days of the week I get off of school and then I go straight to work. Um, and so it's just been a lot. And I think that it's really important to like once again listen to your body, listen to your brain. If it's like this is too much, like I need a break, or like me personally, like I would get home and be like I cannot go to work right now, and then I would, of course, but I would be like it would be so nice to just relax, get my homework done, and not have to worry about going to a second obligation. Um, and so for a while, I had been pretty fed up with that routine and just like the go, go, go aspect of it. And don't get me wrong, I think go, go, go and just like putting your head down and working, that's a great place to be. You find a routine, and I think that's great for a lot of people. But for me, I think that this routine was just a little bit too much. Um, and for those of you who are watching that are like, what is he even talking about? You literally work at a dog store. Um, yeah, you're right. It is a retail position, but when you work after school, you're putting aside a good chunk of time where you could be, focusing on assignments. And for me, those assignments are big and they take up a lot of time. Um, and so over the past few months, weeks, months, I don't know how long it's been, I've been like, is this good for me? Is, you know, staying out late at work and putting aside assignments. And I wasn't even putting them aside. I would just get home late and then start on them again. It was just it was, it was taking a toll on my brain. And so I'm not going to mention this where I work by name. I think I might have in the last episode. So if you really care that much, you can go back and find out. But I'm not going to mention it by name because I will say like the job that I took, I've been working there for about 6 months, 6 to 8 months, and I really like it. Like I loved the community and the actual aspects of my job. And over the summer, especially, like it was perfect. I worked a lot more during the summer, obviously, but it was perfect. Went in, spent a lot of time just helping out the store, doing what I could. But then going back into school and keeping that job, my mind when I was at work was always somewhere else. Um, you go to work as a student, and a lot of times, I don't know if this is just me or if you guys can relate. Leave a comment down below. Um, if you're working and going to school at the same time, or you're working and doing something else at the same time, while you're at work, your mind might not really be there. And for me, that has been the case for a while now. Um, you know, I'm there and I'm thinking, oh, I have to do this. I have a big paper due, assignments due. And so you start to kind of build this resentment towards like, why am I putting myself through this when I know I should be focusing on something else? And obviously, like the money aspect is probably, I mean, what's any other point of having a job other than like making money and like getting experience? So that's something that I think is really hard to get over is like, oh, I'm gonna be out of a job. I'm gonna need more money. But I think what's more important is like how you feel mentally and physically. And personally, over the last couple of months, I was like, I can't keep doing this thing where I'm at work, but I'm not really giving it my full attention because one, it was exhausting, and two, I felt bad for my coworkers. I was like, I never said it verbally or out loud that like I wasn't giving it my all, but like it was obvious in my work, um, like the quality of my work. And I'm not saying that I was sitting on my phone doing nothing the whole time, but it gets to a point when you're like, I could be doing a lot more. And I think that my focus, my mental focus subconsciously on school was definitely taking away from my quality of work. And so for the past month or two, couple of months, I was just slowly and slowly being more absent minded at work. Um, Kind of just in that area where I'm like, I need a break. I need a break. And so this leads me to where I am today. Um, this is a good story for you guys. I today was going to work, Wednesday shift. Um, of a couple of days ago, I had requested some time off during December, especially during like that holiday period, like like the December 15th through like the January 1st or 3rd, 2nd, 3rd. I don't know. Those couple of weeks are very packed full of, travel and spending a lot of time with family and festivities, and also like finals week right before you go into Christmas break. December as a student is just like a very stressful time. And so I was like, I'm going to request off. Um, Instantly, a couple hours later, that request off was rejected. I wasn't really sure why. I was like, okay, why is it getting rejected? So then today I go into work. I'm just doing my thing. One of the upper management people who was never ever there, like I had never met this person, but they were like, big management staff in the company, comes up to me and was like, you know, I was the one who rejected your request off. For this company specifically, like you can't request off during the month of December. That's like a no go. It's called like the blackout period or something. Um, and I'm not at all mad at them for that. But when I heard like that I could not request off in the month of December, I was like, are you serious? Like, I have a lot of stuff going on. Like, and like I said, I had been going through this up and down at work of being like, do I really need to be doing this? So I had been questioning it for a while. And as soon as like I learned that I couldn't get any time off in December, I was like, nope, I'm done. And I'm a very professional person. I'd like to think. I love 2 week notices. I like, being respectful to a company, but specifically I had some issues at my job and I was just like, I can't do this. And I quit on the spot um, today at the time of recording this. It was today. But, I think this video is going to be posted in a few days. I'm going to schedule it for maybe Friday or Saturday. But, yeah, I just quit my job. Obviously, I'm going to be looking for another one. This is not my job. This is definitely much a hobby, a side project. But with that being said, I'm going across the country. Um, I think that's going to be the title of this video. Quit my job and I'm going across the country tomorrow morning. Super duper last minute decision. I'm flying out to see some people that are very important to me. Um, and it all just kind of lined up. Like I said, I've been questioning my position at this company for a while. And today I was at work and I got some news that like, I can't have time off. And then literally within 10 minutes of that conversation, I was getting texts from somebody saying like, "Hey, um, can you fly out tomorrow?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, like this is a lot." And I was like, "This is kind of like a sign." I feel like I'm not religious, but I do think I'm very spiritual and being like the stars aligned. And so as soon as that happened, I was like, "This is meant to be." I looked at the regional manager and I said, "I'm supposed to work Friday and Saturday. I'm not going to be there." And for those of you watching, that is not an accurate representation of who I am. I do like to commit to things. I am professional, but in this instance, I was like, "You guys are doing me dirty. I'm sorry. I'm not coming back." And I feel awful a little bit still, but I definitely feel like a weight has been lifted off of my shoulders. And that goes back to that work-life balance where it's like, this was not working out for me. So I decided to, listen to my body, listen to the signs that have been given to me. And I was like, this is it. This is a good opportunity to be like, I'm done. So At the time of recording this, it's almost midnight. I've been very busy today. I've been packing, very last minute, flying to the West Coast. I'm in Tennessee right now, going all the way to the West Coast, Washington State, baby. But very excited for that. I just think that this is like a really key moment right now in this year where I'm like, all right, we're gonna take some time to myself, maybe a week or two. I'm gonna get back to work 100%, but I think this was very much like an eye-opening experience of me just being like, I need to do what's best for me, and I need to do what is being set up for me. Like it was literally on a platter. Like you have this choice. Listen to your body, listen to your mind, listen to your soul. Get out of this job that has been eating away at you a little bit and go do something good for yourself, or say no and just keep grinding away. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. Let's do it. And so I'm honestly really happy with my decision. Um, I'm just rambling now, but if any of you guys can relate, or if I can tell you anything, is like, if you have a moment like that, I urge you to just be like, this is an opportunity, whether it be like a random opportunity like this or something that you've been working for. Don't be afraid to take that step. I am one, and like, I'm one to talk. I've always been afraid to take those first steps in any aspect of my life. But today, I feel like it was a huge moment for me of like really advocating for myself and just being like, you know what? I'm gonna do me. And um, I called my mom, obviously, as everyone does. Who doesn't call their mom? Call your mom. But I called my mom and I told her what was happening. And one of the immediate reactions, like the first thing she said was just, I love you. And I was like, what? I was like, what do you mean? She's like, you're just so badass. And I was like, okay. She said that. I'm not making that up. But, it just like being yourself and listening to your intuition and, advocating for yourself, I think is so important. And this was like a real life example of that. And I'm really happy that it turned out the way it did. Very fortunate to be flying out all the way across the country on a whim on Thanksgiving. Going to go spend Thanksgiving with some very special people. And I'm really glad that I said yes, because had I said no, I think I would have really regretted it. I would have been once again stuck in this cycle of spreading myself too thin, not giving myself enough time to just be me and like take time for myself. It's Thanksgiving break, and I should have requested off a long time ago, but I don't want to be working on Thanksgiving. I don't want to be working. And this opportunity came up, and it was like a sign from the universe, like, this is your time. Get out of this. Come on. And instantly I was like, to the manager, or to that upper management person, I was like, I'm not coming back. And it was unprofessional. I will say, like, I am not one to not give a 2 week notice, or, give them a little time. But I was like, I'm out of here. And I'm just a salesman, like at a retail place. I do think I like to believe that I added some value as just a sales associate, but I hope that they can manage without me. If any of my coworkers happen to stumble upon this video, I'm sorry. But at the same time, like, I did what I needed to do. I love you guys. Um, but I talked to one person in particular today, two people, and they were like, I get it. I think you did the right thing. It was really reassuring to hear that from them. It really eased my mind and was really good to hear. I'm glad that no one was like screaming at me like, you can't do this to us, yada, yada, yada. But anyways, work-life balance, really important. And in these moments when you feel like you really need to step back and give yourself some time, I urge you to do that, as scary as it is. And I literally wrote this down. Another topic that I wanted to talk about is like, do not be afraid to reach out for help. And I know today necessarily I didn't really reach out for help, but don't be afraid to advocate for yourself. Because as much as like what's going on, a lot of people like although you might wish that they could like read your mind, they can't. And as much as like, it might be on your facial expression that like you're not happy or you're upset or you're unpleased with your current state of life, like they don't really know that unless you really speak up for yourself. So, I mean, man, if you're watching this, I urge you, like, if you're going through a difficult time, if you need support, reach out to somebody. Um, Whether that be a friend, your family, mom, dad, coworkers, and if none of those people speak to you, if there is somebody in your life that really does seem like a good support system, reach out to them and be like, I'm going through this. Do you have any advice? Um, just being honest with people is really going to bring you a lot of benefit, I think. And if you don't have any of those people that I just listed, I mean, reach out to anybody, a stranger. I I know that sounds crazy, but like I was just talking to somebody and I was like, you know, it never hurts to like ask a stranger, be like, "Hey, how do you feel about this?" And they might be like, "I don't even know you." 9 times out of 10 even they might not even want to talk to you, but like it just takes that one person for you to connect with and be like, it could be life changing. They could give you some ideas or some advice that is really good, really helpful. And they don't even need to give you advice either. Like, also, like, just having someone to listen to you or just like hear what you're saying is so important. Um, for me personally, that's my mom. She's always there to hear what I have to say, to listen to me. And so, I mean, she's been hearing the other half of what I've been going through with work and school for the past few months. And so when I called her today and I told her that reaction of her being like, I love you, like, I'm so proud of you, like, I'm really glad she said that. It was reassuring. But, having somebody in your corner of the ring to support you like that is so important. And so if you're watching right now, I urge you to like think about that person, whoever it might be. And you don't need to send them a message or call them or anything, but just like mentally, um, like identify like this is that person, because it's important to know who that is so that when you are in that moment of like chaos and like crisis, I don't know if it's a crisis, but like when you are in that low moment of like, I need to talk to somebody about this, knowing who that is really important, because you don't want to be in that moment and find yourself scrambling like, who should I talk to, who should I reach out to. Having that predisposed plan of like, who am I going to talk to is really important. So yeah, don't be afraid to reach out. Um, and also don't be afraid to reach out for other things other than just like advice for yourself or help. I think a lot of people are afraid to reach out to a lot of people, even if it's just like, hey, do you want to hang out? Or maybe it's someone you haven't talked to in a long time. Maybe you've been caught up in your own life. Reach out to them and be like, hey, I know it's been a long time. Sorry I haven't talked. Sorry I haven't reached out. And just be like, what's up? You want to catch up? I think 9 times out of 10, they will be like, it's so good to hear from you. I also have been caught up in my life. I'm sorry I haven't reached out. I know personally, like one of my best friends, going back to the last episode, the person that lived across from me on that pond, it's like one of my best friends ever. And we don't talk a lot. But I know that like if I reach out, like he's gonna be there for me. He's gonna want to talk. He's gonna be like, hey, it's good to hear from you. And it's not like it's random, like only when I need to talk to him. It's like even if it's going back to basketball, hey, did you see the game? It's like, yeah, man, like that was awesome. Just staying in contact with people is so important because you'll never know when you need that connection the most. Um, Staying connected with friends and family is so important. And I'm not saying this all because I'm like some saint or savant of connection. I definitely am guilty of not reaching out enough and not being the most active friend sometimes. Um, because once again, I'm caught up in my own life and school and work and personal life. But if you can take a moment to like identify that and be like, man, I haven't reached out to this person in a long time. Don't be afraid to vocalize that. Be honest. Be like, hey, I haven't reached out in a long time. I'm sorry. And they will. I can't promise you, but I'm pretty sure that they'll be like, so good to hear from you. Like, I'm sorry I haven't reached out either. Like rekindling those connections is never something that you should be afraid of or something that is bad. Um, so yeah, I mean, connection to me is just a really important thing. It's the reason I want to be a therapist. It's the reason I'm in psychology. I love talking to people. I love hearing about people's emotions and what they're going through. I want to be there for people as much as they are for me. Um, and like I said, I'm guilty sometimes of not doing that, but I'm always identifying that in my mind. Being aware of that, I think, is one of the biggest steps you can take to solving that issue. Um, but yeah, that's some of the topics that I wanted to talk about. That work-life balance, not being afraid to reach out for support or just advocating for yourself. But yeah, quit my job today, flying across the country tomorrow morning on a whim. Didn't know I was going to be doing that at all. Super excited about that. Um, Packing was a huge issue for me. Not really. Growing up, my mom always packed my bags for me, but as I am becoming an adult now, like it's obviously not a big deal. I just packed a huge duffel bag full of all the necessities, but I'm just really excited with where things are going right now. Um, but my last thing that I want to talk about is you guys. For anybody watching, maybe you know me personally, maybe you don't, maybe you're a random viewer. What do you want me to talk about on this podcast? Once again, I am always open to suggestions. Um, I talked about a few of the comments from my last video, and I had a good time talking about those. But yeah, leave some comments down below of what you want me to talk about, maybe some questions that you have. If you have any questions for me specifically, um, you just want my opinion on things. Not that my opinions matter. I'm kidding. But, you guys are very much as part of this as I am. This isn't just me talking to a camera. Right now it is, but I also am really appreciative of those who watch. So yeah, let me know what you want me to talk about. Like I said, at the time of recording this, it is Wednesday night at almost midnight. Um, Thanksgiving is tomorrow. Speaking about that connection thing, if you're going to see family tomorrow, give them all big hugs. Tell them how much they mean to you. Enjoy some good food. Really just feel that love that surrounds us all. I'm being real sappy right now, but really don't be afraid to give in to your inner emotions of wanting to connect with people. If you're not one of those people, that's okay. But, try and hug somebody tomorrow. Anyways, thanks for watching. Warren's World keeps on spinning, and next week we will have some more conversations. Peace.